Good morning, everyone. This is Pastor Anthony Calvert, and I'm so glad to be with you this morning. Um, um, we are still in the City of God series, and this morning we are talking about the title is Calm Down. This is almost like a public service announcement for those who are getting caught up into the rat race that's behind Christmas and all of these holidays. We want to get you to calm down, focus on what really matters, and to take time to contemplate your next move so that you're not adding any added stress or to your life. Listen, I want to talk to you just for a few moments today. It says, calm down, 'tis the season to be stressful. So we're going to talk to you for a few moments on how the enemy has just tried to take this time and distort it, and we want to help you to be able to be a blessing to yourself and your family. So listen, share this with friends, and let's do it. Yeah. Great, great, great. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. So awesome to be here this morning. And we want to encourage you to just hold to God's hand and know that God will see you through this. For me, your old song, Time is filled with swift transitions. None on earth unmoved can stand. Build your hopes on things eternal. Hold to God's unchanging hand. Hey, hold to his hand. God's unchanging hand. Hold to his hand, God's unchanging hand. Build your hopes on things eternal and hold to God's unchanging hand. Hey, you ought to build your hopes on things eternal and hold to God's unchanging hand. Yeah. Well, we thank God for being here this morning. Just a little bit of a song that came to my heart. And so glad to have the producer Broderick in the studio, and my wife is here with us this morning. Listen, I want to talk to you just for a few moments, and I want to share some things with you, some controversial, and this message is going to be a catapult to set up the next sermon that is coming. We're going to be giving you some information concerning the true season about Christ's birth. And all of this is done not to make some of you or those of you that are so filled with this spirit, this Yuletide spirit, and you're excited about family coming. This message is designed to get you to calm down, focus on the things that really matter, and to put everything in the proper perspective. And that is a perspective of looking at everything through the lens of Christ, through the lens of Yeshua, through the lens of the Messiah. that this season that we're in now is supposedly to be all about the birth of a king that would come. Now, I want to talk to you because got a public service announcement. It'll show on your screen. For those of you that are not driving, you'll be able to read this, but I'm going to read this to you. And this public service announcement is simple. It simply says this. It says it's a known fact that suicide attempts, suicidal thinking, and even the tragedy of dying by suicide increases around the winter holidays. It's all over the press. It's all over our popular culture. It is, in fact, the driving force behind the weighty despair in both A Christmas Carol and It's a Wonderful Life. Well, my friends, the only thing about that alleged fact except is it's not true. It is not true. It is not true. This is not the hiding time for suicide. It is not. But the public service announcement should say this. It is a known fact that what doesn't is also a public. I don't want to say this is a public fact, but you've heard this before. It's a known fact that what doesn't kill you makes you strong. We think it's a known fact. This is the thinking that totally eclipses the issues of Great Depression during the winter holidays. So check this out. People are not dying from suicide. This is not the height of suicide during this season. Most people die from suicide actually in the spring. The springtime is a known fact. It's been a known fact for over 50 years. That slide will come up later. But here's the thing. To eclipse what really sets the people of God back, we've adapted this thinking that what doesn't kill us, it makes us strong. And so watch this. This eclipses the issue of Great Depression during these winter holidays. That the fact of the matter is, with all of the hustle and bustle that people are actually going through to make the holidays or this season right, you've added more work to yourself. And if you're not careful, most jobs, there's a decrease in money during the end of the year because there's a lot of holiday pay that is paid. There's a lot of time missed off work. There's time where more money is going out in your homes. And so watch this. That depression and stress has to take a back seat to the weightier issues during this alleged Christmas season. So guess what? Depression, you're so busy being excited about Christmas, you haven't even detected your stress levels. So many of doctors, and we're going to give some statistics, maybe not today, maybe next week as well. Many of doctors, many medical advisors, the Foundation for National Surgery and the Institute of Science and Technology, they have all determined that stress levels in the average person is way up during this time of year because people have added to their workload. The mothers that normally clean the home, guess what? The house is cleaned even more stringently. It's more stress in preparing the house for guests. It's more money is leaving your hands now because you have to buy the right gift. You have to get the right thing, and you have to make sure everybody is happy. And guess what? You want to make sure that this is a hallmark moment, and that the fact of the matter is that this season is going to be better than last season. It's as if we always want the Christmas season to rival the last. And we want this to be the season that rivals all of the Christmases, and we definitely move in that direction. And what happens is you're maxing out credit cards, and you as the producer said, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And what really happens is you get caught up in all of the systematic things that focus us and pulls our focus away from the real reason for the season. And you end up getting caught up into the actual materialistic side, the actual procurement side, the wonderland side of Christmas, that you end up stressing yourself out, maxing out credit cards, buying a lot of stuff for people that you don't really even like, and then you're upset because the gift you gave, they did not buy something of equal value to you. And let me tell you what's happening. is that overall there's a great depression, there's a great stress level that's added, and it's definitely wearing thin on believers. And this sermon, this public service announcement, if you were, is to get people to get their minds back focused on what really matters. And so watch this. Let's do the best we can during this season. Watch this, to save as many people as we can from actually going through all of the struggles and stress that is associated with this time of the year. And so watch this. Another part of this public service announcement, even though this is not the heightened section or time of year for suicide, but watch this. People attempt suicide and die more often by suicide, far more often in the springtime than any other time of the year. That's been a fact for 50 years. And I want to talk to you today because why are people killing themselves? Is the question that will show on your screen. Why are people killing themselves during the actual season of Christ's birth and resurrection than any other time of the year? That if the springtime is the time where suicide is at an all-time high, why are people killing themselves? And notice what I said. Why are people killing themselves during the actual season of Christ's birth and resurrection than any other time of the year? I know some of you are saying, what do you mean, preacher? What are you saying that the springtime is the actual season for Christ's birth? I'm going to give you just a couple, maybe one or two clues today to prove that, but we're going to unpack it even further next year. And just think, I want some of you to understand this, that this is not designed to make you think, woe is me, that I've done something that is a travesty to my family, that I've been actually celebrating the birth of Christ during a season when he was not born. Let me tell you this. I was talking with a great man, and I came to this conclusion. I think we both came to this conclusion that if we had to actually observe or actually be honored about one of our great ancestors that lived and we did not know the actual day of his birth, the fact that we set aside a time to honor the patriarch or the matriarch of our family, of our bloodline, would still be a great thing. And even if by some unforeseen, fortuitous mishap, we would find out the actual day he was born, it would not make us feel bad that we observed him on a day that was not, or season that was not the actual one. So what am I saying to you? That some of the information and the first clue that I'm going to give you today, even though it's going to point and give you a reason to dig and to even verify some of the things. Don't just take what I'm saying as law or as the unadulterated truth or the absolute truth. Hey, fact check it. Fact check it. Look in your resources. But the fact that I'm going to give you a clue showing that this season that we've celebrated the birth of Christ in is not the actual season that he was born in, it does not mean that you have to stop observing him this time of year. But let me tell you what it does mean, and I hope you get this. That all of the things that we've been stressing out about, that all of the things that run our blood pressure up, that all of the things that run our credit card limit, put us over the limit on our credit card, all of these things that we've done during this season, it was never supposed to be the precipice or the zenith of this season. What was supposed to be the zenith of this season, we were supposed to teach our loved ones, our families, that, hey, this was the season in which Christ came to earth, but we've made it so much about the decorations, about the food, and about the people that we've gotten away from it. I want you to take back the essence of the season and actually put an emphasis on why you are really observing this time of year. And yes, there are some other things, some controversial things that we're probably not going to cover because we will take some time to unpack. But I want you to know this, that I'm very concerned that as my wife and I, as we navigate through the different nuances and feelings as far as our children are concerned, as far as belief, and we're trying not to offend, and we're trying to enjoy, the one thing that I am learning is this, is that if to be honest, I had this thought that the best way to observe Christ and his birth would be to observe it all year long. But since that's not going to happen, guess what? I think we should use the times that we have set aside to observe him coming, and we should also be able to take some of the fact and some of the information I'm going to give you today to actually increase your awareness to when Christ really did come to the earth. Listen, last week we talked about this actual city of God and how St. Augustine wrote a book in roughly 400 AD, and he described a nation, and the nation he described closely resembled our nation. It closely resembled what we're facing right now. It closely resembled the actual things that we go through as a people and what we're facing in this nation of unrest. And so when I look back at what we talked about, I have to say this, that we went over the 12 things or the 12 reasons why Christ came, and we shared those with you. But here's what was the amazing thing, that the shape that the world was in at the death of Christ, as far as Rome was concerned, we found out through St. Augustine's book, The City of God, that we are living in some of those exact same times. So it does not matter the year in which you are in or the year in which you are actually operating in. Can I tell you, every year people got it wrong. Every year people made the insignificant the most significant thing, and the thing that should have been the most significant, it got lost in the hustle and bustle of trying to celebrate things that were of no consequence. So in order to put things in order, I, being led by God, feel that it's time for us to talk about some of these things. So the question is simply this. People attempt suicide and die more often by suicide for far more often in the springtime than any other time of the year. That's been a fact for over 50 years. Doctors, it's been proven. You can check your statistics. People are killing themselves by suicide more in the springtime. For some reason, the actual change of the climate, people are more prone to allergies and all of these things. It has just caused a great deal of depression, and people are jumping off bridges and they are overdosing and they are ending their lives. But here's the thing. Why are people killing themselves more during the actual season that Christ's birth and resurrection than any other time of year? Can I tell you that even though the most stress that people experience is during this time of year, during the winter holidays, we are more stressful this time of year, but people are killing themselves more during the time when Christ actually was born and he actually dies for the sin of the world. Which to me, I think an emphasis should be brought onto that, because if that's a backwards hand, to me, that is the most backwards thing. That the time of the year when Christ actually came to the earth, and the time of the year that he actually was the fulfillment of the propitiation for our sins, people are dying more than ever. I know you're saying, well, preacher, we're not in the springtime. No, but the question is simply this. Is that a fact? And when you do your research, you're going to find out that it is a fact. Now watch this. Check this out. Was Jesus born on December the 25th? And I want to give you just one or two clues, because this sermon was designed to get you excited about checking it out. And for those of you that are watching, to my friend Dale, we've definitely been praying for him. My wife got a chance to meet him at our company soiree that we had. Listen, we're going to continue to pray for him. And for those of you who are battling with sicknesses and illnesses, and you're living your life, watch this, you're living your life totally for your children. You have everything set up, and now you feel like, you know what, my life is, if I die now, I will be okay, that you're not going to sweat it. I want to tell you this, that if there's breath in your body, there's hope for your soul, and you cannot let this season pass or any season pass if you're not expecting God to do a miraculous thing for you. You should be expecting a miracle. So, was Jesus born on December the 25th? No, he was not. He was not born nowhere near that day. This was not the season. And I'm going to give you one quick clue. And then I want to pray for you, and I want to give you some things to set up next week, because I want you to come back so we can walk through some things and show you just how much we've been, I don't want to say brainwashed, but just how much we've lost by not knowing some of the true essence of what this season and what the seasons to come should actually bring to us. So guess what? We're more stressed out and we're more depressed during this alleged Christmas season, and the real season that Christ was born and actually died, people are killing themselves. Let me tell you, something is wrong with that. I was blessed to be married. I am blessed to be married to a wife for 32 plus years. And not was, we're still married. Amen. I'm blessed to be married to a wife for 32 years. And let me tell you something I've never seen her do. I've never seen her be stressed out because we couldn't put some things under the tree. And if you're listening to this, I was talking to the producer and he said, you know what? He tried to make it a point to stress to those that he loved the most that it's not how much you spend, but it's how much can be remembered and how much will actually have a long-term effect, not on your life, but on the life of the people you're actually doing things for. So let me tell you this. I'm in a room with people who never let themselves be stressed. And by me being attached to a woman that didn't allow herself to be stressed, even though I came from a family where Christmas was very stressful, where you spent your last, you maxed out your credit cards, you borrowed money, you robbed from Peter to pay Paul just to put things under the tree for children who probably didn't really understand what it took to put it under the tree. And guess what? Christ got lost in the shuffle because it was so much more important to prove that Santa Claus had been to the house. I remember waking up and there would be a slice of cake missing, and a couple bites would be taken out the cake, or there would be a slice of pie missing, so that I would know. I would gauge my Christmas morning whether I was going to the tree or not by if something was missing to show me that Santa had been there. And guess what? I spent a great deal of my life not even waking up, even thinking about the birth of Christ, not even having that image put into my head. And so now we're living in this time. And I want to give you the first clue showing you that if we're so stressed out during a season and depressed during a season, and this is not the actual season he came, then really we should take back this time and really put the focus back on him. That if it's actually going to have his name within the title of Christmas, Christ Mass, which has some connotations or some belief that does not actually promote this whole Christian way of lifestyle or this life of Christ, and we're not getting into that. But the fact that it's supposed to be about Christ, why not let the main thing be the main thing? And if I'm talking to you, I don't want you to feel bad that you've gotten caught up in the whole hustle and bustle of Christmas and shopping, that you've not given Christ any of the time. And I know some of you are saying, well, you know what? I have a nativity scene outside. It's not about the nativity scene. It's about you being in the most peaceful state of mind that you've ever been in your life. That if this is the time of year that you're going to see your family that you never see, you definitely should not be stressed out just to house them. You should definitely have a peaceful time. And this should be the edification of Christ, because this is what it's all about. First clue. And hopefully this start of this first clue is going to actually get you to check us out again next week. So listen to this. Christ was not born on December the 25th. He was born in the season of spring. He was born in the season of spring. That even though we are allegedly observing him, and I say allegedly, and I'm hoping that I can remove that for a lot of us, and that this season, you know what? I can tell you this. For the people that I've loved that are no longer here, I sometimes mention James Parker Williams, his life and how much he meant to me. I sometimes mention him on days that has nothing to do with his actual birthday. I honor the life I've had with him because he was a spiritual confidant. He pretty much kept my wife and I together because he was at one point he was the glue that held us together because he encouraged us to forgive each other and to fight through things, right? So I have honored him on days that's not his birthday. I have honored him on days that has nothing to do with the day he died. And guess what? To go back and to look at the actual obituary or to go back and look at and look at the day of his birthday, it would not take away from any of the honor that I've given him. So for those of you that are watching this, even though I'm about to show you and give you some clues to unpack the real season that Jesus was born, it does not mean that you cannot show Christ homage this time of year. And watch this. It only takes the limit off how many times and how much time you can give to showing him your appreciation for him being born to die for you. So watch this. The first clue is found in in Luke 2. And look at what it says in Luke chapter 2, verse 7. It says, "And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling cloths, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn." And here's the first clue in verse 8. "Now there were in the same country shepherds living out in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night." Now, why is that a clue? Why is that a clue? Because in spite of popular belief, the winters in Jerusalem, in Israel, can get very cold. As a matter of fact, in the Talmud, it is known that the shepherds were only out in the field. In the Jewish Talmud, this is recorded, that they were only out in the fields from March until the next rainy season. Right? So these shepherds are out in the fields and they are out minding their sheep. Why is this a clue? Because if they are out and they actually saw the star that represented that Christ was born, it means that the time that he was born could not have been in the winter. Let's go a little bit further. The winter in Israel gets cold as well, but watch this. During the Feast of Tabernacles, now check this out. During the Feast of Tabernacles, all of the males from Jerusalem were required to be in Jerusalem for census. And they were required to be at the Feast of Tabernacles. So here's another clue. And I want to give you this, and then I want to pray and just admonish you on some things. The birth of the Messiah would not require Joseph to break the law by being out of Jerusalem. So if this was wintertime, if this was between the months of October to December, Joseph would have been out of order and he would have broken the law that required him as a male to be counted in Jerusalem. And our Messiah the birth of the Messiah did not require his father to break the law. So this clue alone, right, just points to you and lets you know that where they were, if they were there, then some of the timeline could not be wrong. Now, let me tell you why I want to leave you with this clue. Because this clue is going to cause some of you to dig. You're going to Google search some things, and I think it's great. But let me tell you my point for even showing you this. I want you to come back, and I want you to join us next week as we begin to unpack how we can further prove. Let me tell you something I learned about sheep. Sheep in Israel, they were only born, watch this, in the spring. They were only born in the spring. And since Jesus was supposed to be this lamb that was crucified before the foundation of the earth, that he would be this matchless Lamb of God, it says if God orchestrated his life. Now watch this. The death so when a, how can I say this? So when a lamb was chosen, a lamb that was born only in the springtime, it was chosen. It had to be a year old, and it had to be without blemish. in order for it to be a propitiation, or in order for it to be used as the remission for sin and sacrifice. Just think about this for a moment. That the natural lamb was born in the springtime, and then it had to be a year old. And a year from its birth, it was going to die for the sins of some human. Isn't it amazing how Christ's death, we accept that it happens during this springtime month, but we do not accept sometimes that his birth actually came in the springtime as well. That's the amazing thing I want to show you as we move forward, is that Christ would be born and that he would die in the same season. And it totally lines up with the word of God. We're going to show you scriptures. We're going to move through it. And let me tell you why we're showing you this. Because it's just good to know. You know what? I've been attacked. Well, not attacked. I've been challenged. Let's say this. That why would there be information that exists and we not know it and we not teach it? So let me tell you this. As we move forward, I want those of you that are actually getting prepared for your December the 25th to make it about a peaceful way of living, to make it about Christ, to teach your children that this is in observation of the birth of Christ. And guess what you're going to have? You also have some food for thought to say, even though we are observing that this when he was born, even though we are observing his birthday during this season, this is not the actual season. You can take your family deeper. Let me tell you, I want to give you the gift that keeps on giving. And that gift is the gift to never stop seeking a higher connection to God. Never stop seeking the knowledge. I know the Bible would say in the hinder part of Daniel that in the last days men will become more wiser and wickeder. But here's another thing. It would also say this, that since we are friends of Christ, and he would reveal to us the things, the secret things of the Father. I want you to know that there are so many untapped, uncovered truths that are waiting to be discovered. And God wants us to get close to him by knowing who he really was and what it really means to serve him. If you don't know Jesus in the pardon of your sin, pray this prayer. Lord, forgive me. I've sinned, I've messed up, I've lived my life independent from you, and I need you to save me. Now here it is. Say this. Say, Jesus, I make you Lord of my life. Friends, if you prayed that prayer, I want you to know that you are saved, and you have to endure unto the end. You got to hold on. You got to change some things. That means if you know you got a drinking problem, fix it. If you got a cigarette problem, fix it. If you got a drug problem, fix it. You got an anger problem, fix it. Get it right so you can meet him in peace. What would be the point of celebrating or observing his birthday and you cannot in your death day rise and get to look him in his face? I'm Pastor Anthony Calvert. I believe God approves this message. Share this with friends. And don't forget, Evangelist Sheila next Tuesday. Why should I be ashamed as we get ready to go into the holiday weekend? And remember, we'll see you next Sunday right here. God bless you all. Have a great day.